Here's a window
Before
decal.
this
Do you
trip,
guys want
a friend
bucky?
asked me, what does a large family even do in Gatlinburg that's affordable? Honestly, I thought that was such a good question because when you have 8 kids, every decision matters. Where you eat, what attractions you choose, what you skip. So today, I'm taking you along as I show you exactly how our family of 10 planned a budget-friendly Gatlinburg vacation that was absolutely worth spending money on and where we saved instead. Hi there, friends. Welcome back to the Mama Simply channel. If you're new here, I'm Amber. I was a former labor and delivery nurse, now a stay-at-home mom raising 8 kids with my husband here in rural Indiana. Here on this channel, I share our family's simple rhythms, real food, and everyday life with our family of 10. If you've ever wondered how a large family can actually enjoy Gatlinburg without spending a fortune, let's get started. Every vacation starts the same way around here, with a whole lot of packing and making sure everyone has exactly what they need. Traveling with 8 kids definitely takes some planning, but once we're on the road, everyone is excited. And of course, we had to stop at Buc-ee's. This was our first time visiting a Buc-ee's, and I think it may become one of our favorite family road trip traditions. Everyone stretches their legs, grabs a snack, and enjoys looking around. One thing we have learned over the years is that vacations don't have to mean saying yes to everything. We usually let every child pick one special treat, enjoy the stop, and then we are back on the road. If there is one thing that saves us the most money on vacation, it's this one tip. Before we do anything else, we grocery shop. I found a Kroger in Pigeon Forge about half an hour from our cabin, and we stopped here and stocked up on the groceries that we would need for the week. Our plan is instead of eating breakfast, lunch, and dinner out every day, these groceries will provide the meals that we need: milk, eggs, fruit, sandwich supplies, waters, snacks, and simple dinners. For this family of 10, this saves us hundreds of dollars, and all those savings let us spend money on the experiences that we'll remember. I intentionally planned for us to cook most of our meals while we were here. I planned simple breakfast that we could have before heading out for the day. And I had the Heavenly Hunks and the protein oats from Costco. We also brought coffee, and I had my coffee creamer. And then the kids also picked Honey Nut Cheerios for cereal. And then we also planned easy lunches. We tried to have a picnic lunch that we could take with us on the road and just fix sandwiches and have chips and waters and a little bit of a snack while we were out exploring for the day. And that worked really pretty well. And then in the evenings, we would have family dinners together. Our cabin had a grill, so that made it really easy just to quickly throw some meat on the grill, chicken legs, pasta salad, and I cut up a watermelon. So I kept our meals super simple and easy, and the kids also had some amazing cookies. And honestly, these moments around the table or just relaxing on the cabin ended up being some of my favorite parts of our whole vacation. We did plan eating out, and for that, we picked a few of our favorite restaurants. And today, we enjoyed eating at the Old Mill for dinner, and so we were really careful with selecting what we wanted to do carefully. Just because you're a large family on the budget doesn't mean you can't splurge every now and then. We found that you really don't have to buy a ticket every day to have a great vacation in the Gatlinburg Pigeon Forge area. One of our favorite experiences was Cades Cove. The drive was beautiful. We really enjoyed the mountains, the wildlife. We actually had a couple opportunities to see some bears while we were there. And we just really enjoyed the slower pace. It was the perfect break from the busy tourist areas, and it was a lot of fun to do hiking while we were there. The scenic drive was beautiful. We had a really beautiful day, and it was just a lot of fun to be able to get outside and enjoy the nature and see so many things while we were there. And it was completely free. You didn't have to do anything, and they had these really great historical sites. This is the mill, and they had an instructor there who is very knowledgeable about the mill, and the boys and my husband especially enjoyed that. Another free thing that we did was walking around the island, and we really enjoyed that. Even if you're not planning on spending very much money, it's such a great place to explore. We walked around. There were plenty of places with free samples. We tried some different kinds of hot sauce and salsa, and Jack decided that he is a solid red hot fan. Some of the stores were so much fun to visit. They had this kind of old-fashioned store that the kids especially enjoyed. They had old-fashioned toys, and the kids really enjoyed playing with those. And Jack found a rubber chicken that I have muted so you don't have to listen to that. And just walking along in the streets, it was so much fun, and everybody found some things to look at that they really, really found fascinating. They had dinosaur exhibits. So Andrew is a dinosaur fan right now, so he had a lot of fun walking around and looking at the different dinosaurs. They had free samples, so those were really fun to try, and just lots of fun free activities for the kids. So we really enjoyed our time at the island. Since we were saving money on food, we were able to choose a couple of attractions that we really wanted to experience. And we picked the Ripley's. You can select 3 activities, which we did. We picked the aquarium, and for our other choose 2, we picked the the mountain coaster, and then we also picked the Ripley's Super Fun Park. I'll be really honest. I was not expecting the aquarium to be one of my favorite stops. I really thought once you've seen one fish, you've seen them all, but the kids desperately wanted to go. And once we got there and I watched the kids and just their excitement, especially Jack, just absolutely loved it. But all the kids were so fascinated, and just the variety of the different sea creatures that they had and all the different activities, it completely changed my perspective. And for our family, it was really worth every penny. And so this was one of those activities that we definitely splurged on. And I'm so glad that we did, because we had such a fun, amazing time. And for a large family, there was something for everyone. So I highly recommend this one. The Titanic Museum was another highlight. It was interactive, educational, and one of those experiences our whole family enjoyed together. And this was such a fun exhibit. It was at the top of our list of what we definitely wanted to make sure that we saw while we were here. When you arrive, they give you a boarding pass that serves as your ticket, and each person, like even the children, got a boarding pass, and on the front and back it shares information about that person who was on the Titanic, and it tells you their biography and it tells you about them. And then at the end of the museum, you can find their name on a list of passengers as to whether they were able to get off the Titanic and what happened to them later on in life. So this was our favorites. And if we come back, these are two attractions we would definitely choose again. We planned to eat out just a couple times during the trip. Jack chose sloppy hogs for lunch one day, and it did not disappoint. The food was delicious, the service was great, and everybody was so happy. We definitely recommend it. Our visit to Gatlinburg ended a little differently than we expected because of a medical emergency, and we realized we would be heading home sooner than planned. So since we weren't going to be using the rest of our activity budget, we decided to enjoy one last dinner out together at the Old Mill restaurant. It was such a sweet way to end our vacation, and sometimes the best memories happen even when the plans change. So if you're wondering how a family of 10 enjoys Gatlinburg on a budget, here's what worked for us. We prioritized grocery shopping first. We cooked most of our meals back at the cabin. We mixed free experiences with a couple of special, well-picked attractions that cost money. So we tried to balance that out equally between what was free versus what we felt would be really worth our time as a large family and what would fit into our budget. And we spent very intentionally on the things that our family will actually remember. For us, those memories were Cay's Cove, watching our kids explore the aquarium, learning together at the Titanic Museum, and simply being together. We didn't get to do everything on our original itinerary. There were still quite a few places we had hoped to visit, and maybe that will be our excuse to come back someday. But this trip reminded me that a successful vacation isn't about checking every attraction off a list. It's about making memories with the people you love. Thanks so much for spending part of your day with our family. If you're planning a trip to Gatlinburg, I'd love to know what's one place that's on your must-visit list. Leave it in the comments, and I'll see you in the next video.